What is up, guys? So 3 new character breakdowns have been released for Arrow Season 7 by the CW, and they are just casting calls. So we don't know who these characters are because just casting calls, usually do fake names just to hide who the characters are. These characters are Dover, Leia, and Angeline. They don't actually have names yet, just like Jesse Bowden, Daniel Porter, and Konami Rhodes, which are the other characters who have been confirmed for this season. These are not their actual names, but this does mean we could speculate about who these characters will be based off of the DC universe in the comics. Maybe they're based off comic book characters, or maybe they're based off characters that have been confirmed to be in the season already, but like not by name, just by association, because the Longbow Hunters have been confirmed to be in the season, and I have a feeling all 3 of these characters are a member of the Longbow Hunters, although one of these characters people have speculated to be Batwoman, but I definitely don't think it's Batwoman, and I will go over that in a minute once I get to that character. So with that in mind, let's break down the new confirmed characters from Arrow Season 7. The first character is Dover. Again, that's not his actual real name. It's not his name. That's not the name he's going to use in Arrow Season 7. It's just a casting call. And his character description, or rather his casting call, reads, a male in his 30s to 40s who is teased as a physically intimidating player. Even though he may not be the brightest person in the room, anybody who is in his presence will feel incredibly small. So this is a character that I would expect to be the main villain, just going off the fact that he's teased as a very physically intimidating player. But it does say he is not the brightest person in the room, and to be a main villain, you have to be pretty smart usually, so you can plot the master plan at the end of the season, so you can like trick the main villain, because you can't just be a fighter and be the main villain. You have to actually plot, like at least every other good main villain has been smart enough to plot, like Malcolm Merlin, Slade, Prometheus, maybe even Ricardo Diaz and Ra's al Ghul and Damien Dark. They've all plotted a little bit, so none of them are dumb people, so they all need to be at least a little smart to be the main villain. And this character is teased as somebody who's not the brightest person in the room, so I definitely don't expect him to be a main villain. He might be just somebody working for the main villain. I definitely think he's going to be a villain, or maybe somebody that Oliver meets in prison. That might be something also, like just like in The Flash Season 4 when he met Big Sur, who was actually turned out to be a pretty great character. This might be the same thing where Oliver meets somebody in prison who is intimidatingly large, like physically large, and he's intimidating, but he's not the brightest person, which makes sense. He is in prison, and that just fits a character in prison, like a really big guy who's stupid. That kind of makes sense. Although I feel like these 3 characters were all released, the character calls were all released at the same time, probably maybe because these 3 are actually the Longbow Hunters. I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed that the Longbow Hunters are 3 people. I think. I'm not exactly sure about that, but I think so. And so these 3 characters would definitely work well for the Longbow Hunters, with Dover definitely not being the main villain because he is not the brightest person in the room, but maybe just somebody working for the main villain. Who knows? Maybe all the Longbow Hunters are just 3 people, 3 assassins working for somebody who's going to be the main villain, somebody we don't actually know yet. So who Dover is going to be, though, I'm going to guess Sportsmaster. Sportsmaster is a character who I think would appear in this season. I think Cheshire is going to appear in this season, and in at least the Young Justice universe, Sportsmaster is her father, so it would fit really well to adapt that into Arrow Season 7. Sportsmaster is an assassin, kinda, so he would work on the Longbow Hunters. Again, it says he's not the brightest person in the room, and I'm pretty sure Sportsmaster probably fits that bill pretty well. He's not the brightest person in the room, he's just a really good assassin, which might work well for Dover. So I don't really know who the character is. We don't even know if he's a character from the comics. But if he is a character from the comics, then I would guess Sportsmaster. If he's not even a villain, then I would guess he's just somebody that Oliver meets in prison, maybe even becomes friendly with, similar to Big Sur in The Flash Season 4. Or maybe he's like somebody who is kind of antagonistic in prison. All I know for sure is that he is not the main villain because he's not the brightest person in the room, unless if that's just a ruse to make people believe that he's not like somebody capable of being the main villain. But either way, I highly doubt that he's going to be the main villain. The next character is named Leia, and again, that's not going to be a real name, but Leia's casting call description reads, a 30-something woman who is a world-class mercenary, which already by then you could tell she's probably going to be a member of the Longbow Hunters, considering she is a mercenary, and the Longbow Hunters are considered assassins, which are kind of the same thing as mercenary, who is born to be a leader, which makes me think that she's actually going to be the leader of the Longbow Hunters, but probably not the main villain, because I mean there hasn't been a female main villain on Arrow yet, and I definitely don't think they're going to do one ever. And then it says, don't mess with this one because once you see what Leia has in her toolbox of skills, you will see why those are known across the world. That's kind of a weird character description, considering it goes into the world, like it's describing somebody in the world, like don't mess with her because you'll see what she has in her toolbox. As for who this character is, we don't know who this character is. We don't even know if she's a comic book character. Again, all these characters just might be original characters created for the show, so really the speculation could be pointless. But again, all of these characters might possibly be actual DC characters. I hope they all are. It's just more interesting when they use DC characters instead of original characters. But as for who this character can be, in my video where I said who I think should be in the Longbow Hunters, the characters that I said are Sportsmaster, Cheshire, and Lady Shiva. I don't think this is Cheshire. Again, obviously this is not Sportsmaster, and Lady Shiva would actually work really well. She is a world-class mercenary. In fact, she's supposed to be like one of the best fighters in the DC universe, and I'm pretty sure she's an assassin as well, which is the same thing as mercenary kinda, so that would fit this description really, really well. And it says she has a toolbox of skills, or something that you wouldn't expect in her toolbox of skills, and that would definitely fit the character because, like I said, the character is very, very skilled in fighting. Like I said, she is one of the best fighters in the DC universe, so I think, in my opinion, this character definitely fits Lady Shiva really, really well. Again, we don't even know if Lady Shiva is going to appear in this season. She might not, just because she is a Batman villain, and they might be, I'm pretty sure she's appearing in Gotham season 5, so maybe Fox or Warner Brothers isn't allowing them to use Lady Shiva, but it is still possible. I'm pretty sure characters have appeared in both shows at the same time before, so it's still definitely possible for this to be Lady Shiva, and I don't see it being anybody else. So the third character is Angeline, and this is the character that a lot of people are speculating to actually be Batwoman, and I definitely see where they're coming from. In fact, I am kind of leading more towards Batwoman than I am towards the other character I think this might be, which is Cheshire, only considering two reasons really. One, her age doesn't really match up. Like, she's a little too old to be Cheshire, especially if she is the daughter of Sportsmaster, if Dover even is Sportsmaster. Again, this is all just speculation, but her age definitely doesn't match up with that. I'll go over that in a minute. Also, a different character has already been confirmed, and that other character might actually be Cheshire. That her name is Konomi Rhodes. I broke down that character a while back. Link is in the top right corner of the video. So Angeline, again, might be Cheshire, might be Batwoman, might be a completely new character, might be a different character we don't know of, but I will go over the character breakdown and see who I think it will be. So Angeline's casting call is described as a diverse woman in her 30s. She is a fierce fighter despite of her small stature. Not only is she experienced in stealth, Angeline is able to wipe out buildings filled with foes all by herself before she is gone like a ghost. It will be made very clear that Angeline thinks incredibly highly of her work. So that definitely, in my opinion, definitely fits Batwoman really well, and considering she is in her 30s, and that would probably match up with Batwoman's age more than Cheshire. Like I said, it doesn't really match up with Cheshire's age. I would think she would be in like maybe her early 20s, considering like every other comic book version of her is a little younger. If she is the daughter of Dover, who is in his 30s to 40s, it wouldn't make sense if she's way younger than 30. 30 doesn't really make sense at all, unless if, I don't know, if he had her when he was like 15 and he's 45. Either way, this definitely doesn't add up for Cheshire if she is the daughter of Dover, the daughter of Sportsmaster. And this character description fits. I would think it would fit like a Bat family character, somebody who's really experienced in stealth. All the Bat family characters are very experienced in stealth. She's able to wipe out buildings filled with foes all by herself before she is gone like a ghost. If they just switched out the she with, or like all the female pronouns with male pronouns, that would sound exactly like Batman. Somebody who's able to wipe out buildings filled with foes all by himself before he's gone like a ghost. Definitely fits Batman, which they might just be using for Batwoman. I don't know if Batwoman's that skilled in the comics, but either way, they could just use that. I feel like that would definitely work for Batwoman. And then she would be it's made very clear that Angeline thinks incredibly highly of her work. Again, if all of this was just switched with male pronouns, and instead of saying small stature, doesn't say anything there, that would definitely describe Batman, and that definitely makes sense because this might be Batwoman. But this character is actually going to be a recurring character this season, and Batwoman seems to only be in the crossover event. They might be doing something different this season where they're actually introducing Batwoman earlier in the season. Maybe Batwoman's actually going to be a recurring character on Team Arrow. That would actually be pretty cool if she like appears in episode 7 or something, and then appears in episode 8, obviously in the crossover. but then actually joins Team Arrow as a member of Team Arrow for a little bit, because she's going to be a recurring character, and that wouldn't really make sense if she's just going to be in the crossover. And if she's not Batwoman, that definitely makes sense in that respect, if she's just a different character like Cheshire. But if she is Batwoman, which would make a lot of sense, it seems like Batwoman might be a recurring character in Arrow Season 7 and not just a character in the crossover. Just to go over who I think these characters will be, Dover I think will be Sportsmaster, Leia will be Lady Shiva, and Angeline will probably be Batwoman. Again, this is all just speculation, so let me know who you think these characters will be in the comments down below. And if these characters are Sportsmaster, Lady Shiva, and Batwoman, let me know which character you're most excited to see in Arrow Season 7 in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.